Hi, I'm Charlotte, Campaigns Director here at 38 Degrees. Welcome to the sixth part in a series of Q&As that we've been running about Brexit. What's it all about? What does it mean? Alongside the Brexit think tank, UK in a Changing Europe. Welcome to those of you watching live on Facebook. Please be sure to like and share this video. And also a big hello to those of you who are listening to us through this on a podcast, our first ever podcast. Today, I'm very pleased to be joined by another Charlotte, Professor Charlotte Burns. She's joined us from the University of Sheffield and also Centre for the UK in a Changing Europe. She's also co-founder of the Brexit Environment Network. Thanks very much for coming along today. We'll be discussing what Brexit means to the environment, doing our best to get through some of the questions that people have been sending in from home, and do certainly share any more things you'd like to have answered on our Facebook page as we go on today. Before we kick into those, I thought first of all, Charlotte, you could tell us a bit about the work that you do and how it's changed in the 2 years since the EU referendum.
Okay, thank you for having me. So my background is actually as an expert on the European Parliament and the European Parliament's environmental behaviour. But I was asked by a friend who works for Friends of the Earth in 2013 to do some work around this possible referendum we might be having. And really since then, all my work has largely been focusing on in the run-up to the referendum and then the impact of Brexit on UK and European Union environmental policy. So it's kind of taken over my life.
Well, I think we're very glad to have you here, and there must be so many different sort of policy areas that you've had to get to grips with.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully we're going to touch on a few of those today. Shall I kick off with fracking? Mm-hmm. So Beverly in West Cross, one of our members, she's written in and said, what are the kind of different policies about fracking in comparison looking between the UK and Europe, and how might things change as a result of us leaving?
Okay, so that's a really good question. Fracking is quite a complicated issue when it comes to Brexit, as there aren't any binding regulations at European level on fracking. There are recommendations. Part of the reason for there being recommendations is that the UK government was one of several governments that blocked the Commission bringing forward binding regulations and rules at European level. And because it relates to energy, that's also an area where states like to have some control over domestic energy policy. So there won't be a direct impact from Brexit on fracking rules. However, there are other elements of policy in relation to protections for wildlife and nature and around planning applications, so having to have an environmental impact assessment. Those could possibly change post-Brexit depending on the preferences of the government of the day. For example, if they wanted to make it easier to do fracking in areas that are currently protected under EU rules.
That's really interesting. So fracking is one of the issues where it's very much about the EU setting a context, but individual countries choosing how to interpret and work within that. And obviously we at the moment have a government who are very, very pro-fracking.
Whereas there are other countries across Europe that are more anti-fracking and some have banned fracking.